Hi, everybody. Every once in a while, you have to go a little rogue. Hi, it's Hugh Burrill for Golf Town. Very pleased to be joined by Dr. Alan Hocknell of Callaway. You may know him better as Doc Hawk. I'm going to call you Doc Hawk if that's okay, Alan.
No problem, Hugh. Thanks for having me here. Yeah.
It's my absolute pleasure. We're talking today about Callaway's new line of Rogue ST Max irons. Now, you guys are touting these as Callaway's longest irons ever. Why?
Good question. You know, there's a good answer for that. Thankfully, there's a lot that has gone into the design of these irons. They really are the best of our technologies, all brought to this game improvement part of the market. When I say there are a lot of technologies, I really mean that. So we'll start with the face. This is a brand new face for this iron. It's the first time anybody has used a 450 stainless alloy, which is a little bit stronger than some of the other alloys that we've used in our face cup design, and using our artificial intelligence tools to optimize the face thickness pattern. So what we get for that is a face that's stronger, that we can use to generate more ball speed across a larger area of the face, particularly focusing on the areas of the face off center where we know a lot of average players do tend to make a lot of contact. And we can tell our optimization tools about those golfers, and they can prioritize the speed of the ball from those areas of the face. Another thing that we've done this year with the face design is to use the face optimization to influence the spin of the face as well. And that's spin created by the design of the face alone, not using any other properties of the iron. So a really unique approach to using the face to generate speed and to control the flight of the ball. So that's one really, really big key technology in the iron.
Yeah, there are four lines to choose from. There's the Max, the Max OS, the Max OS Lite, and the Max, or the Pro version of these. So right. Who are each of these lines for, in a nutshell?
Yeah, so the Max model really represents the center of the game improvement market. It's the one that we think the majority of golfers would fit into. And it is a sort of a classic Callaway game improvement cavity back iron in terms of the size of the blade, the offset, the sole width, things that you might recognize as sort of Callaway irons almost define the center of the market there. So the Max model is that sort of iron. And then there's an iron either side of that, the Max OS, for the player who needs a little bit more help in terms of getting the ball off the ground a little bit more easily, more consistently, a little bit larger face, more offset, wider sole. We recognize that the impact location will vary a little bit more with this player as well. And even off of that Max OS model, there's a light model, as we know that some people with slower swing speeds, male or female, will be able to get more out of a club that is overall lighter weight. Now, if you go to the other side of the Max model, you reach the Rogue Pro, and that's a really interesting iron in that it's a hollow iron for the first time in this sort of part of the market. We're designing that for better players with influence that we've taken from the Apex Pro iron. And it's a bit of an interesting one because all of that same game improvement technology is packed into a slightly smaller shape, smaller blades, smaller sole width, less offset. So more workability for that slightly more advanced player. Maybe not somebody who's going to play a true tour iron, but somebody who wants to control a golf ball using an iron of that shape, still with having a lot of that forgiveness that you get from the game improvement technologies in it as well.
We could all use a little forgiveness in our golf game for sure. Now, these irons, they're replacing the Mavericks, correct?
Yes,
okay,
correct,
so,
yeah.
But what are some of the biggest differences between the Mavericks and the Rogue Max?
So I talked in terms of technology about the face design, but another big difference between Maverick and this set of irons is the amount of secondary material we're using in the iron. So primarily in the form of tungsten. This is the largest amount of tungsten by far used in iron design in this part of the market by anybody, and certainly more than we used in the Maverick irons before as well. So we're using that tungsten to work in tandem with the face design to really help the trajectory of the irons. So we want the irons to have an overall easy to launch characteristic. We want them to have sufficient spin, not too low spin, so that you fly efficiently, and then you still have the stopping power to land the ball as well. So we think about all elements of the flight of the ball for the different irons through the set, and we think about the job that different irons in the set do. Your long irons do a different job from your mid irons, from your short irons, and we use face design and tungsten differently in each of the irons in order to achieve the goals for each one of those irons.
You talked of a lot of the characteristics in terms of the speed, the trajectory, the spin, the stopping power. How hard is it to design a set of irons that kind of encompass all of those features? It's got to keep you up at night.
Yeah, it does. The longer irons in the set, they've got a higher priority on launch angle and ball speed. The shorter irons in the set, maybe less about speed, but more about spin consistency, trajectory consistency, so you can really hit the targeting shots more accurately and more confidently. And we do a lot of testing to prove to ourselves that computer simulations match with player performance, player perception of the design. We involve a lot of people who are super game improvement type needs in our process, the game improvement players, and obviously better players too, to really validate that what we're talking about we have actually achieved. Now, on top of that, all of those goals for distance and trajectory are goals for feel as well. And we really work hard on making sure that even though these irons are very energetic and they're very modern in the way that they propel the golf ball, they still feel great as well. And we use our microsphere technology, our urethane microspheres, in greater amounts than before to really control the feel at the same time as giving all the other benefits.
What exactly is a microsphere for guys like me who are doctors? What's a microsphere?
Yeah, essentially what we're trying to do is take a material like urethane and make it very compressible, like a sponge. So it doesn't resist motion of the face at all, but at the same time it would damp out the vibrations that would occur after the ball is left, that would make the sound last too long or make the sound unpleasing to the ear. So these tiny little glass spheres are hollow, and they have the property of taking what would normally be a sort of a regular solid material and making it porous, essentially, making it have holes in it.
You mentioned things like sound and feel. The numbers will tell you what the technology is doing, but there is also a very kind of feel to it.
Yes.
I mean, like there's the intangibles of how does it sound, how does it feel. That's very important when designing irons, isn't it?
It is. Those are things that golfers of all abilities can have strong opinions about, and so it is extremely important. Another thing that we associate with feel is what happens when you try to hit a three-quarter shot or a punch shot, not your full speed shots. How does the club characteristic respond to those types of things? Because not every place on the golf course will you find yourself at full distance. You're between clubs often. When you get closer to the green and you hit more touch shots, how does the club sound, feel? What kind of confidence does it give you from its shape and the way that the ball reacts with the club there? All of those things are huge pieces of design, and they involve the feel of the designers as well as the feel of the engineers and the feel of the feedback we're getting from the players as well.
You guys are touting these as the longest irons ever, and I have to tell you, our director of instruction, Kyle Gordon, and I were hitting these earlier today, and our eyebrows were going up at some of the distances we were getting. Right. Almost 200 yards with a 7-iron. So they are as advertised.
Yeah, it's that combination of achieving the highest ball speeds that we've had from irons in any given head with the control of the trajectory to really make the most efficient flight of the ball. Modern golf balls don't require as much spin to fly, but they still need to land. So we've got to get the right balance of all of that.
Dr. Alan Hocknell, or Doc Hawk, thank you so much for spending a few minutes today. Really appreciate it. And go rogue, why don't you?
That's right. That's our message.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks.